Mr. Friedman?
Thank you, Chairman Pierce and board members, for the opportunity to be here and close out this topic at long last. My name is Ross Friedman. I'm a partner at Morgan, Lewis & Bockius in Chicago. I'm speaking on behalf of the Coalition for a Democratic Workplace. And the Coalition is an organization of many businesses that employ millions and millions of employees. CDW does not believe that the as soon as practicable standard for scheduling an election is appropriate because it singularly focuses on how quickly the election could take place at the expense of other very important considerations. And I want to touch quickly on three main points: the perceived need for quicker elections, the problems that are inherent with the acceleration of the timeline for the elections under the NPRM, and the board's responsibility to further elucidate its position on how quickly elections could or should be held. First, CDW believes that the proposed rules are in large part a solution in search of a problem, and I won't belabor the point here. Everybody knows the statistics, and they've been discussed several times today, but one of the things that struck me in preparing for this is I found this pie chart on the board's website, which shows that 94.3% of elections were held within 56 days in 2013. And it's hard to imagine looking at that lopsided chart and coming to the conclusion that the R case process is taking too long such that it requires major changes. More simply put, I think the point is that our position is the board already has efficient and effective processes in place to ensure fair and fast elections, and there's no need to dramatically speed up that process. Second, there are serious problems inherent with the acceleration of the timeline that the NPRM doesn't address. The board's statutory responsibility is to assure employees the fullest freedom in exercising the rights guaranteed by the Act. And CDW believes that the as soon as practicable standard does not appropriately recognize that statutory responsibility. It cannot be seriously disputed, I don't think, that most non-union employees and many non-union employers have a limited understanding of what are complicated rules that processes that govern collective bargaining. And many, if not most, employees don't really know what it means practically or legally to be in a union or to work in a unionized workforce. And this is something the board itself, I think, has recognized and attempted to cure through the notice posting rule and through the Protected Concerted Activity website. And obviously understanding those issues associated with the decision to vote for or against a union is vitally important to ensuring their fullest freedom. And that understanding takes time and a full opportunity for debate. So the focus only on how soon it would be practicable to schedule an election ignores some other important factors that must be taken into account when deciding when to schedule elections, such as due process, free speech, and employees' rights or ability to be educated about a complicated process that will affect their working life potentially for years and years to come. So how much time is required? CDW thinks that the current time frames are adequate. They've served the board and the parties effectively, all the parties, employees, unions, and employers, and they give all of those parties time to get their points of view across and have an understanding and understand the implications of their actions. So a significant shortening of that time frame runs a serious risk of depriving the parties of the opportunity to present their views and gives employees less time to learn about the process and weigh their options. My last point is the NPRM proposes changes to many of the board processes in order to achieve accelerated elections. What it doesn't do is state anywhere what the board thinks is an appropriate time frame from petition to an election. CDW thinks the board should state what the time targets would be under the proposed rule and then seek comment on those specific time targets. This may slow the process down a bit, but I think ultimately would serve all of the parties better. So, the board has held training sessions with the regional offices. It has studied this process for years and years, and it has to have an idea regarding how long it intends the representation process to take. The position of CDW is the board should put forth what those targets should be. And there's other timing issues that are not addressed too. Like, for example, will the parties get more or less time under the new rules if there's a STIP? You know, not knowing this fact is likely to decrease the STIP rate, which would cause delays, could unnecessarily complicate the election process, and could lead to more litigation. Member Miscamera earlier, in response to one of the speakers, noted that one of the goals of the Act is to promote stable collective bargaining relationships. STIPs are the first chance, and often an easy chance for parties to do this. And these are parties that may be obligated to bargain with each other for years to come, and to be able to reach an agreement on a STIP, it's no small thing and can set the tone for the bargaining relationship. And these are important points that are implicated in nearly every petition, but the NPRM omits any discussion of them. So to sum up, CDW urges the board to maintain the current election timeframes and time targets, which have served the parties well and have resulted in the vast majority of elections taking place within a short time after the filing of the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just ask one question? I thought actually that we had invited comment on a time target, and specifically for this panel had asked that. And so I wondered what you think the appropriate time should be.
Well, I think the appropriate time are the existing times. But I think the point I was trying to make is if the board wants to shift the existing times, the board should say what they think the new times should be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Friedman.
Thank you.
Thank you all.